I think we should be aware of the fact that migraine is really a serious disease affecting many. Migraine affects people in their most productive years, so it really affects society.
I felt a lot of stigma. I felt unheard. I felt I was questioned, which for me, as someone who's really passionate about what I do and going above and beyond in my work, it was very hard for me. And I worked in a healthcare organization. I realized that there were some accommodations that I could request. But my boss at the time just kept questioning me, but why? She couldn't understand why I needed to move my office. My office was in an area that was busy, a lot of people moving back and forth and past my desk. I used to have a private office, so I didn't realize the impact until they had moved the location of my desk. The lighting, we were able to change lighting, that helped substantially for me, but they hadn't moved my office, and I felt that by the end of the day I had double vision. I was triggered every single day. I heard my provider speaking with the ADA representative about my accommodations. And I heard her say, "Are you questioning my medical advice for my patient? This is what she needs." And the only reason I heard her was because she was yelling. And that made me feel so little, so unheard. Happy to have a provider that was fighting for me, but made me realize that I needed to leave this place of employment. It made me feel they don't believe me. They don't feel I need these things, and they don't care about me. I knew then that I had to find another place of employment. It was very difficult. It took me a long time because I couldn't just leave my position. I was the primary breadwinner in my house at that time. My husband was chronically ill and subsequently had a liver transplant, so he's still here today. But I am so blessed. After about a year, I found my place here with the American Migraine Foundation, which has helped me incredibly, not only professionally, but personally.
Stigma for migraine in the workplace is perhaps the most important area where people are limited in their ability to lead full lives. Because migraine is maximum during the years between age 25 and 55, the years that people are most likely to be employed, this is the time when they have to contend with and juggle their disease with their employment. And because the impacts and costs of migraine, at least in the United States, are typically measured in terms of what the medical costs are, employers tend to discount that it's really a problem at all. As I was mentioning, about 40% of people with migraine have not been diagnosed, and about half of people with migraine hesitate to seek care. So relative to the number of people who are employed, the medical costs are a huge underestimate of what the real costs are. And the real costs come in reduced productivity. Because migraine is an invisible disability. Migraine is diagnosed by symptoms, not physical signs. It's not by laboratory tests. It means that people who are living with migraine and working with migraine look like everybody else. But when they experience migraine, their ability to process information may be impaired. Their ability to tolerate noise or light in the environment may be reduced, and therefore their productivity may be reduced. So to the employer, it just looks like this employee is not actually as productive as they should be. And consequently, they increase their stigma towards those people, even if they aren't aware that they actually have migraine. And when they find out that they do have migraine, they may attribute this to this disease which they don't think is really consequential at all.
At the workplace, it's similar than outside at the society in general. Then the workers and their colleagues think that you are, they cannot understand why you have a migraine attack every week, for instance, if you are severe. You can even have 2 or 3 migraine attacks per week. So imagine if one colleague of you, or you ask for help to one colleague of you one day because you have a migraine attack, and they help you, of course, but that's not going to be once in your life. That's going to happen every single week or month in your life. Migraine is going to come along with us all our life. And our the colleagues get like, oh, isn't that an excuse? Because they cannot see it. We don't have any change in our bodies or that you could detect or see that I am good. You need to know us very well to start seeing that my eyes are going to get red, I'm going to get white, I'm going to get very tired, I will be like a little bit lost for a while, and then you will understand that I'm starting the prodrome of the migraine attack. And I need to be understood at that moment. I need a lot of understanding, I need a lot of flexibility at that moment, because I need to take a tablet as soon as possible, or I need to go and relax, or I need to whatever I have to do to prevent that attack from being an explosion and out of my hand. So we really need the support of our colleagues and our mates around at the workplace. Imagine when you have a migraine attack on a Monday or on a Friday. Absolutely everybody around thinks that you have another plan and you are going to leave it. And you are really, really, really affected. And you are, not only that, is that we know that our environment is not understanding it. And you get completely stressed because of that, because you don't want to have that migraine attack. It is very, very easy, very simple for a company to make some slight changes, very little changes in the company around the person with a migraine, to improve their quality of life. We know a lot about triggers of a migraine attack. If you try to avoid those triggers, then you can much easily be a good worker, well in your position, and not to have a migraine attack. But if you are, for instance, always in front of a very, very high light, or like this, or in a very uncomfortable, stressful situation, then it's very probably that you are going to have many very frequent migraine attacks.
Migraine in the workplace is very tricky. So one of the things that we try to do is that let the employer know that your workplace is impacted, and it's attributed to the loss of productivity and absenteeism, which equates to dollars to your bottom line. But also your employees are not well, and they're pushing themselves to come to work even though they're not feeling well, in the form of presenteeism. You know, when an employee is actually present, but they're not functioning at their full capacity because they may be experiencing an acute migraine attack. And one of the things that we know, a recent British study showed that 4 out of 5 employers do not feel that migraine or headache is an appropriate reason to call in sick to work. That's a huge, impactful kind of statistic to learn. And it makes sense why people that live with migraine tend to retreat and hide their disease, because all they want to do is be normal and go to work and do everything that they've ever wanted to do, or maybe that they used to be able to, but maybe can't now. And they want their employer to understand that.
Migraine stigma has really significantly affected me in terms of my graduate studies. It has been very difficult to advocate day in and day out and try and get others to understand that this isn't an excuse, it isn't a choice. It is definitely not a question of my interest or my motivation or my work ethic. The fact of the matter is, I don't get a migraine like a person gets the common cold. I live with migraine every day, and at any point in time, I am at risk for developing an attack. I think the reason why I have been so persistent in trying to achieve my goals is being a woman with multiple disabilities. I've already been told several times that I am really not expected to do anything. As an infant having traumatic brain injury that caused cerebral palsy and blindness, my family was told that I would be dependent on them for the rest of my life, but I wasn't. I was then told that I wouldn't graduate from high school, let alone achieve any other academic pursuits. But that ended up not being the case. And just because I developed chronic migraine at age 19 as a sophomore in college, I didn't want to give up on my life. There was still more that I wanted to do. And I've been determined to try and minimize the impact that migraine has on my life. Unfortunately, I can't eradicate it. So I educate and I do my best to manage it so that way I can achieve my goals. I wear many hats. So sometimes I am emotional support. Sometimes I am offering encouragement and validation. Sometimes I am coaching someone on advocating for the care that they need and deserve. I'm sometimes coaching on getting the accommodations that you need. And I'm also helping answer really tough questions and giving resources that can hopefully give other people with migraine the tools that they need to get the care and support they need and deserve. Because I think it's possible to live with this disease. We just need more awareness and more compassion and understanding.
I think we should be aware of the fact that migraine is really a serious disease affecting many. It does not only affect the patients during their attacks, but also in between their attacks, because they're afraid for the next attack. They can't make an appointment, they can't fulfill commitments. And it's not just the patient, him or herself, it's the whole surroundings, the family that suffers, because you can't have a party as planned, vacations are disturbed, and also at work patients are affected a lot. Migraine affects people in their most productive years, so they can't go to work, they need to feel that they have to make up with the times they were ill or they were present but not functioning well because of their migraine. So it really affects society.
Can I just have a question about the patient that needed to be rescheduled? Do you know if she can come in to... I wanted to open the eyes of employers on the cost and impact of migraine, and that's the actual easy way for them to help support people with migraine in the workplace. Employers don't read scientific journals, they don't read headaches, cephalagia, British medical reviews, so to read them and tell them how important this topic is, we have to write in journals that they read, such as the Harvard Business Review. It breaks my heart seeing hardworking, brilliant people not achieve their full potential or their professional dreams and goals because of the limitation of migraine. There's a lot we can do. As providers and doctors, we can help them with treatment, and then there's so many little things that employers and people in the workplace can do to support them, so we can actually make a big difference here.
As an employer, it's relevant to realize that many of the employees will suffer from migraine, especially the females, but also some males. And often it's not discussed because people are ashamed of having migraine, or they think that they are not taken seriously. So the most important thing, I think, is to make it an open topic that you can talk about. And then secondly, an employer could ask the migraine patients, what could help you? Does it help you when working times are more flexible? Do you maybe want to have another light in your office? And if you discuss it openly, that can be constructive, and definitely more constructive than patients hiding their disorder. Employers can win from having a migraine-friendly workplace because migraine patients are really committed. If we see how they are doing in life, they are doing not much worse than other people, while they are really suffering from a disorder that's impeding them. So despite what they have, they do relatively well. So if you make the circumstances a bit better, they will really be able to flourish and have a better balance between work and private life.
BBVA is a multinational company, it's a bank. We have around 110,000 employees around the world, mainly in the Latin American area and Spain area, but also we have a really big bank in Turkey. I have been working in BBVA since 2006, so 17 years more or less. I have been involved in different issues. Usually I was responsible for the real estate projects, and in the last few years I have been responsible for programs that involve culture, diversity, well-being for the employees. So now we are working in this specific program, the well-being program. We are trying to make the life better for our employees.
BBVA is a bank for people serving people. So for us, our main asset is people. And to have the better results, we need the commitment and engagement of people. So we need to try to align our huge culture with every day, make the values in our behaviors, in our process, and try them to achieve their personal purpose in the purpose of the company. For that, they need to be well. They need to have a huge mental health. They need to balance their work with their personal life, and they need to be happy here. So for me, my main role is to increase the engagement and the well-being of people. Here at BBVA, we have 10 or 15% of our employees with migraines. So we need, first of all, to explain people what a migraine is. After that, to try to understand what we can do to prevent, to understand what is going to happen, and then to make not so bad. No, we also need to work in people that they don't have migraines, how to empathize with people who has. No, it's very important because it's a disease that sometimes we don't understand. No, and also we have a role as a company, as a huge company all around the world, to say that loud to the society that migraines is important and we need to take care of that.
Sí, las personas sienten que están estigmatizadas por su enfermedad y además piensan también que están minusvaloradas. Es una enfermedad que está minusvalorada. ¿Por qué? Porque es una enfermedad que tiene una dimensión clínica muy amplia, con náuseas, vómitos, con molestias visuales, auditivas, y la gente piensa que una migraña es un simple dolor de cabeza y no entiende la dimensión clínica que puede tener una migraña, ¿no? Entonces muchas veces el desconocimiento de esa enfermedad hace que ellos sientan que su enfermedad está minusvalorada, porque además precisa muchas veces el ausentarse de su entorno laboral y estar un periodo de tiempo de baja. Entonces piensan que su manager no entiende que este proceso de baja puede estar plenamente justificado, cuando realmente sí lo está, porque realmente es una enfermedad que con el adecuado soporte, las adecuadas recomendaciones y el adecuado tratamiento puede la persona ser tan eficiente como cualquier otra o más.
I remember to have a lot of headaches when I was a teenager, but I have what is called the aura migraine. And the first time that I was aware that I have that was when, not when I started to work, but a little bit later, in the 20s, my 20-somethings, because I have this kind of migraine has like a tunnel that appears in the middle of your side field, and it's something similar like to the Stargate film, when you see like a door in the middle. It appears in the middle of your view, and you started not to see in the middle of the thing. So you are not able to read properly, you are not able to write properly. Sometimes when it hits really hard and I am here working and the light starts to annoying you, the noise starts to annoying you, the smell starts to annoying you, it not happens usually, but I had to go to the parking, get inside my car and try to get away of everything, trying to avoid that in the worst part of the crisis until the medications make an effect. So sometimes I need to go, I don't know, to the bathroom or to my car or whatever and disappear for a moment, just in the worst part, because in the worst part I usually are not able to see. With this part I need to like push over to help me to support the pain. So sometimes I need to disappear, to go to the parking or whatever and disappear for half an hour or something like that to be able to continue working after that.
Unfortunately, here in Spain, I don't know in other countries, sometimes a manager could think when the employees tell him that they have a migraine. Sometimes we have a biases to think that maybe these people is lazy or they don't want to work or something like that. It's the first thing, our first priority, to make them to understand that migraine is a disease and we need to empathize with that pain. If not, we are not doing well.
Nosotros desde hace muchísimos años venimos haciendo muchísimas labores en el tema de salud y bienestar, pero ahora hemos establecido un programa que se llama Work Better Enjoy Life, en el que impulsamos todo el tema de salud y bienestar de las personas, tanto en el ámbito del Work Better, que implica todo el tema del trabajo productivo, como en la parte de Enjoy Life, que implica todo el tema de apoyo a la salud física y emocional de nuestros empleados. Hemos realizado un montón de conferencias de apoyo a los empleados para conocimiento de muchas enfermedades, nutrición, salud laboral, salud emocional, etc. Y también hemos creído importante visibilizar el tema de la migraña, y para ello, para que pueda ser mejor entendida por todos los empleados, incluidos managers, directivos, todos, y para ello hemos traído a un experto que es el doctor Peter Cosby del King's College de Londres, quien nos habló de lo que es la migraña, los nuevos tratamientos y el nuevo enfoque que hay para esta enfermedad.
There are 16,000 managers, but I need to make understand our managers, each of 16,000 managers, the importance of the diseases. It's important that these managers understand that it's in their responsibility to take care not only the professional career of their employees, also in the well-being of their employees, because it's in our culture, in our values, and only if they want the best team, they need to understand what happened in the well-being of their employees. So it's in the role.
Un banco que cuida, una empresa que cuida de sus empleados, desde luego va a reportar muchísimo más beneficios económicos, porque ese empleado va a estar más motivado, más comprometido y por tanto va a ser mucho más productivo.
We are extremely strong people. We learn how to live with this migraine attack. unfortunately, nobody is supporting us. Nobody from the occupational area, from the policy area, from nobody around is supporting us. And we have learned how to survive with that disease. But we really, really need to be understood by our colleagues and by our bosses, and we need them to know a little bit more about our migraine and to trust us. We are extremely good workers. We are responsible, we are extremely active, we are very perfectionist, and we know that we want to have everything done. We are very curious, we are very active, and usually we have the work very well done at the end. So just trust us.
I think we're just at the beginning of understanding migraine, which I think portends a very bright future.
In principle, we found that migraine with and without aura, cluster headache, chronic paroxysmal headache, and some other headache forms, they show release of CGRP, and it's associated with the pain in the migraine attack.
What would I have been and what would I have done if I hadn't had these medicines? Well, I guess I haven't. Could I have been working? No, I don't think, not as I do anyway. Would I have managed with 3 kids? No way.
We need to build out the field, which is vastly under-resourced for the size of the problem, and with the collaboration of bench researchers, clinical researchers, and patients, all the important stakeholders, we can make incredible progress in the next decade or so. The future of migraine research is incredibly bright.